Herkese iyi akşamlar. Nil ben, UK Türkiye'den. Bu akşam Aberystwyth Üniversitesi Galler'den okul temsilcilerimiz Neil ve Vicky bizimle olacak. Ve bugün Aberystwyth'te özellikle Computer Science, bilgisayar mühendisliğinde nasıl eğitim alınır, nasıl giriş koşulları nelerdir ve Aberystwyth'te yaşam ile ilgili konuşuyor olacağız. Hello, Vicky and Neil.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Very good today, thank you.
Good as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then we can start.
That's great. Okay. So hello everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. As Neil said, my name is Vicky and I am the regional officer for Turkey at Aberystwyth University. So that basically means that my main job is to help you with your journey to come and study with us. And I'm joined today here with Neil Taylor, who is a lecturer in our computer science department. If you'd like to say hello, Neil.
Hello, everybody.
Thanks.
Pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Short and sweet. So today I'll just be talking generally about Aberystwyth, and then Neil will be able to talk more specifically about our computer science department. And then at the end of today's presentation, we'll be able to answer any questions you may have. So just for an idea of what we'll be talking about today. So like I said, I'll be giving you some background about Aberystwyth. So I'll talk about our location and our campus. Neil will go on to talk about the modules and the courses that they offer in the computer science department and give you a bit more interesting information on that. And then I'll talk a bit more about our scholarships that we offer international students, our accommodation, our tuition fees, and also our entry requirements as well. So, Aber at a glance. So before I begin, I just wanted to say that obviously Aberystwyth is quite a hard word to pronounce. So you'll see that I do just say Aber throughout the presentation, and do feel free to say Aber yourself. I promise we will know what you're talking about. So these are the five main points to remember about Aberystwyth or Aber. So the first point is that we are ranked #1 in the UK for our teaching quality. So we really do strive for that academic excellence. The second point is that for the last 6 years, we're really proud to say that we have ranked highly for student satisfaction across the UK. And I believe that's because we support our students not only academically, but we also care about you as individuals. We are a small to medium-sized university, which means we have a very strong staff to student ratio and can offer that personal touch, which will get you far in your academic career. The third point to remember is that we are the only university in the UK to offer the International Accommodation Award, which means that you can get housing with us at no extra cost or at a £2,000 discount. And I'll be sure to cover this more further on in the presentation. We're also proud to say that 97% of our graduates are employed within 6 months of graduating from us. So employability, it really is ingrained into everything we do here at Aberystwyth to prepare you for life after university. And finally, our unbelievable location. So Aberystwyth is a small historic Victorian town. So we're tucked between the beautiful mountains and the Sea of Wales, and we are very proud and thankful of our location. And as you'll probably see throughout this presentation, we've got lots of beautiful pictures, which really showcases how lovely Aberystwyth is. So a bit more about location in terms of where we actually are. So we're located on the west coast of Wales. We are a 3-hour train journey from Birmingham, which is probably the closest city to us. We are around 4 hours from Manchester and then 4.5 hours from London. So like I said, we are a small seaside town, with the biggest city being around 2 to 3 hours away. But we do have good access to train services and to coaches as well, which is obviously important when you're thinking about which airport to fly into. We do try to encourage our international students to fly into Birmingham Airport because we do offer a free airport pickup service for you. So that basically means we'll get a coach, we'll meet you directly at the airport, and then we'll take you directly to your accommodation. Anything really just to make the process easier for you, especially if you haven't been to the UK or Aberystwyth before. It can be quite daunting, so we're just trying to make it a little bit easier for you. So once you do arrive in Aberystwyth, you'll be greeted by this beautiful green campus, as you can see here in this image. So you have the town at the top of the image, where there are lots of independent shops and cafes, and of course the beach as well. And then it's around a 10 to 20-minute walk from the town to our campus, where we have the National Library of Wales. We have our sports centre, which is free to students if they're living with us. And then they also have the university library. And of course, in the middle, it's slightly skewed on this image here, but it's the Department of the Computer Science. So with that being said, I'll pass on to Neil, who will give you some more information about the department today.
Okay, thanks very much, Vicky. So my name's Neil Taylor, and I'm a lecturer in the department, and I mostly work with sort of third years and master's students, but also get involved in other activities in the department. There's some Twitter and Instagram details there, and we try to promote activities that the department and its students get up to. So do follow us on that as well. So I'd just like to go through a few slides. We can go to the next slide just to say a little bit about the department, what we do, the types of courses we offer. So we're based on the Pengleis campus, what you've just been shown in that image. And we are part of, we're part of this faculty, the business and physical sciences, but that means we have links, good working links with mathematics, with physics, with the business school, as well as the Department for Information Studies. And, you know, we work together and we have our own computer science specific degrees, but we also work with them on related modules that complement our degrees for the students to be able to choose from as well. We also have the Athena Swan Bronze Award, which is a UK specific. It's set up by the UK government, but it recognizes the department's commitment to diversity and to inclusion. And we think that helps us to think about how to make the department a great place to study, and opens us up to, you know, support our students, support our staff, and be this invigorating place. So next slide, please. In terms of staff, there's about 50 teaching staff, as it says there, and that's a range of lecturing staff, as well as we've got technical staff and administrative staff as well, who help us keep everything running and supporting you in your studies. And there's some of my colleagues there from different roles in the department. We took that photo a little while ago, but it gives you a highlight and a good range of experience. And one of the things I think that's good about Aberystwyth is we have staff who have deep experience with academic areas, with research that they're into in terms of robotics and artificial intelligence and bioinformatics and other activities as well, advanced reasoning. But we also have people like myself who have been in the department for a while, but also have had work in industry. So we bring industrial experience of delivering and building projects, as well as the research experience. And we think that gives a good background for our teaching to students. We also learned the other year that we have the best gender balance in the UK of staff. And it turns out when we looked into it, we had better than the US as well. And approximately 33% of the department staff are women. And that's really good and adds to our the environment we have. And we also, as I said, through Athena Swan, promote diversity inclusion. I'm keen to recruit women into this STEM subject as well. Next slide, please. Students-wise, we're about 780-ish students overall. That includes the undergraduates, and most of the students are undergraduates. And we have then some postgraduate taught, so that's the masters, the taught masters courses, and then we've got postgraduate research as well, students who are things like the MPhils and the PhD students as well. That's a fair size of students, and across the different years that we've got. And we like them both to obviously engage with the academic study and the courses that we run, but we also think it's great that they, as a student community, have things that they do in addition to that. So we have a CompSoc, a student society, which is works to put on talks and arrange meetings and activities for students outside of the courses. Some of those things relate to Robotics Club. So we have a group of people who meet regularly during term time to work on robotics projects outside of the course. And related to that, there's SailBot, where this has been running for a number of years across different students who've come and gone, after they've completed their course, and they have worked on autonomous sailing robots. And there's an image there in the bottom left of some students doing that. So they create boats which can, go to sea and autonomously sail, and they've taken that to competitions as well. Just talking about some of the pictures there, at the top left, we've got a bunch of students who go to Amsterdam to join in this international open source event, FOSDEM, which happens each year, and our students have been there a number of times over the years. Top left, we have our women students and staff there, and some of our staff lead that and have meetings and regular get-togethers as part of activities. And then the bottom right there is there's a international competition that takes place, and some of our lecturing staff encourage our students to take part in this programming contest, and that's some students who were taking part recently in that event as well. So we think the extra activities add to it, as well as the courses that I'm about to mention in the coming slides. And we also got other communities here. So through Discord, we have an active student community, and it's led by the students, and the staff take part and answer questions whenever relevant. And we've also got a makerspace, so a 3D printer, a laser cutter and things. And so with appropriate training, it's an extra thing that people can use to work on, hobby projects outside of the course as well. Next slide, please. So in terms of teaching then, we have a number of degree schemes, and if we think about the undergraduate schemes, we have those that are between 3 and 5 year, and it depends on which course you're on. Our standard computer science undergraduate scheme is a 3-year scheme, and that would have years 1, 2, and 3. You might take an industrial year, so to get a year's working experience between years 2 and 3, and that would is an option that a number of our students take, and they get to work in different locations around the UK and sometimes internationally as well. And we've also got an option where we have a foundation year. So for some students who are approaching study, or for some mature students who are coming back to study, having gone into work previously, they might like to consider a foundation year as a way to refresh their study skills before they move into the common sort of first and second and third year. And we have something called integrated masters, which I will say a little bit more about in a couple of slides' time. And we also have a year abroad, whether that's as exciting to students who are traveling to the UK to study, but there is a flexibility there for students to either take an industrial year or a year abroad where that suits them. And if there's any questions about the year abroad, I can explain more about that later on. But in terms of the first year, we have students who come to us with some experience of computing, and also students that come to us with no experience of computing. And our aim in the first year is to help them reach the common standard so that they're ready to go into years 2 and beyond and it's years 2 and beyond, which are the bit which will form your degree result. Okay, so the first year and the foundation year are about getting into year 2 and further, and then years 2 and 3 are the study which qualifies you for the degree itself. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Next slide, please. In terms of the undergraduate schemes, there's lots of scheme codes and there's lots of titles, but what we talk about really is that we've got computer science, which is our core scheme. So G400, G401 are the key schemes there. And then other schemes that you see below are variations of computer science, where you're essentially selecting that you will take certain core modules that say that you would have enough experience with computer graphics, vision and games, or with AI and robotics. So really, computer science gives you the most flexibility. You can choose, there's a few core modules that you have to take around the bits of programming and the skills we want to build with you. But then you've got more choice about whether you take a module in machine learning, a very popular topic at this time, or not. Whereas if you took artificial intelligence and robotics, you would be expected to take machine learning as a core module. So there's just a subtle difference there. So computer science gives you more flexibility. Other ones are a way of saying, well, okay, I'm taking a course at Aberystwyth, but my degree has definitely had a good amount of computer graphics, vision and games, or a good amount of artificial intelligence and robotics, for example. And then we've got a range there. So from business information technology, which is less programming and development, it is a mixture of business as well as IT and bits of development. And then more technical ones, such as you can see, graphics, vision, games, AI and robotics, CS and AI. And then we've got web development as well. So we've got a collection of those. And where we see a code such as G400 at the top, that is the standard 3-year version of the course. And then you've got a G401, that's computer science with an integrated industrial year. So that would be a 4-year course. Okay. And I think they're the main points to cover at this point, but there are some other questions you might have following that, but we've got those. So next slide, please. So as well as our undergraduate schemes, we have a range of what we call integrated masters and also what we call master's courses, and they're subtly different. So we've got software engineering as an integrated master's course and computer science as an integrated master's course. And what that means is that there's an extra year of study, and you will take master's level courses in your final year, but you don't actually graduate until you finish that final year. So you technically remain an undergraduate all that time. It can have some financial advantages for the way that funding is sorted out in the UK. And, the software engineering one also carries some extra accreditation towards professional body status in the UK. So we have the BCS, the Chartered Institute for IT, and they accredit our degree schemes as being relevant for the needs of industry at this time. And all of the courses on the previous screen have some form of BCS accreditation too. For the software engineering, the Masters of Engineering, the software engineering version, there is an extra accreditation which takes you a step closer to chartered engineer status later on, after you've had some industrial experience. So the top two rows are integrated masters. And then the bottom 3 rows there are master's courses. So there's computer science, which would be a course that's suitable for people who have done another undergraduate course, but then at master's level would like to cross over and train to do computer science. So it's a master's course suited to people who haven't done computing before, but would like to do it at master's level. And then we've got artificial intelligence and advanced computer science, and those would be topics for students who have got an undergraduate in computer science and they're looking to go deeper into those areas with more specialized elements to it. And then also the advanced computer science there, as it notes, does also have the possibility of essentially a 1-year master's course with a 1 year of industrial year experience as well as part of. So the one with IY would be 2 years on the course, one of which is academic study and one of which is working for a company. Okay. Next slide. In terms of modules and types of experience, we have a mixture of lectures. We also have practicals. We do want our students to be able to do things with technology. It's not just talking about technology. It is about learning to do things, to create programs that run on computers, that run on devices such as robots and so forth. And we think that's an important part of what we do compared to some other universities in the UK, which might take a more theoretical approach. But it's not that we don't cover the theory, we do, but we try to balance the practical aspect as well as the theory of why these things are important, how these things can be applied. So we've got lectures, practicals, workshops, and tutorials, so different ways that we have study. In terms of support, there's the lecturing staff, obviously. The teaching staff are always there to be able to answer your questions, but also we employ some of our students to be demonstrators for students in lower levels. So some of our second and third years may help demonstrate during the practicals, and they're there to answer, they're extra people there to answer questions and help people as they learn. And we find that's useful because some students feel more comfortable asking questions of other students about what to do. So we're bringing in that experience from students who've done well previously. We've also got the advisory service, which is something that we run most days during the term time, so Monday to Friday, and there's somebody available to just go along and have a chat with about different bits of work that you're doing, bits that you might feel you want to ask questions about to deepen your understanding. So there's a range of different ways that we try to help and support you, as well as the lecturing staff and the teaching staff. In terms of class sizes, it really varies. In the first year, you're generally in quite big class sizes. As you go through your course, you get to smaller class sizes. But even in the first year, you will have lectures, but practicals might be quite big classes, but tutorials will probably be maybe 10, 12 people in a tutorial in the first year. But you might end up in some smaller classes on specialized modules later on, say in the second and third year, as you're getting to do that. And then just to give you a flavor, some people like to say, well, what languages do I study? What do I program in? In the first year, everybody will do Arduino C. Nearly everybody, apart from the business IT people, will do Java. And then depending on the modules that you have as part of your degree scheme and ones that you choose, there's other languages such as listed there from C through to SQL. So there's a range of languages there. And there's a link there at the bottom, which you might be interested to look at. What it does is it lists all of the modules that we currently teach. Okay. Now, whether you would take them depends on what course you're on, but it gives you an idea of the things that we teach and the types. If you click on a particular module, you would find out some more details about what we have in terms of assessment and what's covered in those modules. Now, I think the important thing to realize is it's a statement of what we do today. Things change. You would expect it in computer science that we look at things and say, well, goodness, technology changes and so forth. So we make changes over time. So what you see there, see it as a good indication of what we think is important and what's relevant. But, were you to choose Aberystwyth for study and were you to come and join us in Aberystwyth, things might be a little different from that when you started, but I think it's a good indication of the things that we teach today and think are likely to be relevant going into the future. Okay. So that link's available there and could be shared with you afterwards. I expect the slides will probably be shared, won't they? Next slide. So specifically for computer science, the URL is there at the top, and that will take you to the cool pages for computer science. So you can find out more about us. If you've got follow-on questions and you would like to ask the department directly, you're very welcome to contact us on that email address, and my colleague will answer your questions. But obviously, as international students as well, you might make local contact with SI UK as well as to find out more information. So whichever way, however you get in contact with us, we will be look forward to trying to answer your questions. That's what I had there, Vicky, for now.
That's great. Thank you, Neil. Yeah, I mean, the computer science department is definitely one of our most popular departments within the university internationally. So it's really interesting to hear about, especially the practical side of things. So great. Thank you, Neil. So I'm going to continue talking about accommodation and all the nitty-gritty things like tuition costs and entry requirements. So we're back to the image of our campus here. So I'm going to swing the image around, so to speak, to show you where our accommodation is. So you can see here, it is at the top of our campus, just behind where our main campus is. So depending on which accommodation you choose, you could leave your bedroom and then just have a short 5 to 10 minute walk and end up in your lecture hall. So no excuses for being late at Aberystwyth, I'm afraid. So talking about accommodation, we also offer our International Accommodation Award, which is what I was referring to earlier. So this is the scholarship that we offer all international fee-paying students. This is the only scholarship we do offer, but it's a great deal seeing as that you are entitled to either free or discounted accommodation with us. So that would be university-owned accommodation. So before I go into the different accommodation options, there's just a few things to be aware of. So if you have been asked to pay a deposit to complete a pre-CAS interview, and or to submit any financial documentation, then these steps need to be done before you can apply for accommodation. So it can seem quite daunting, but once you're going through this whole process, we will let you know exactly what you need to do and when you need to do it. So it's also important to note that accommodation is allocated on a first come, first served basis, and that deadlines do apply. So you are guaranteed accommodation in your first year as long as you apply before the 1st of August, and that's for each academic year. And please note that we do have a limited number of free accommodation. So it is first come, first serve. If you do want the free room, you will need to apply as soon as possible. If we aren't able to offer you a free room, you will definitely be able to get a discounted room. And then for the second and third year of study with us, or 4 years, or for however long you're going to be here in Aberystwyth, you are still eligible for the International Accommodation Award. You will just have to reapply for it every year. And we can't guarantee it in the second, third, or fourth year, but it is still an opportunity. We do just remind that you just keep an eye on your emails and also make a note of when the deadlines are. But like I said, we will be in contact to make sure that you are aware of all the dates and all the steps that need to be done. So don't worry too much about that. So a little information about the accommodation options. So the free accommodation option is in our accommodation called Court Mawr. Court Mawr means big court in Welsh. Obviously sounds a lot cooler in Welsh rather than in English. So basically you can see from the image here, it is a large court area. There's lovely green lush grass. And then with the actual room itself, it's a single occupancy room. So that basically means you're not sharing your room with anyone else. It's a single bed, your own desk, your own wardrobe. There's also a sink in the room as well. And then you'll be sharing a bathroom and also a kitchen and living space. So it's a very sociable option. and obviously it's free as well, which is also a plus. For the second option, so you'll get a £2,000 discount on one of the other accommodation options. So this is an example of one of our more luxurious options, should I say, which is called Fem Penglais, which translates into being Penglais Farm. But again, obviously Fem Penglais sounds a lot cooler in Welsh than Penglais Farm. So this, for this academic year just gone, this would usually be at a cost of £6,000 per year, but obviously with a £2,000 discount, our international students were able to get it at a £4,000 cost per year. So this accommodation, it's like I said, a little bit more luxurious than Courtmouth. So it's your own double bed rather than a single, and you also get your own bathroom as well if you did want to opt for that. So with that being said, I mean, Courtmouth is still a good quality accommodation at no extra cost. It certainly will help with the overall cost of coming to the UK to study, but you do have that option there of choosing different accommodation options. So just a little bit of information about student life at Aberystwyth. So at Aber, we are really lucky to say that we have over 80 societies that you can join once you come to Aber. And as you can see from the slide, there really is a range of ways you can get involved and meet people who have similar interests as you, or even try something completely new and random. For instance, we have a cat society, we have a pirate society that you can try out. So we really do encourage new students to join societies, as obviously it's a great way to familiarise yourself with the university and the town. And we really try to make Aber a home away from home, ensuring that you feel welcome and happy. I mean, obviously, the academic side of university is really important, but it's also important to think about your life beyond academics and to try and think about how you will be spending your time when you're not studying in Aber. And of course, as Neil said, we also have a few societies focused around computer science, like the Aber Comp Sci Society you can join, and the robotics one as well, which definitely sounds interesting. We also have some sports societies you can join. So as I mentioned earlier, we have these sports centre on campus, which is free if you do come into accommodation with us. So within that, there's things from rock climbing to tennis courts, squash courts. There's a running track as well. And we also do offer societies, sporting clubs, to do with surfing, sailing and hiking. So you can really take advantage of our beautiful location being right by the sea and the mountains here in Wales. Or we can just do what I would do, which is probably just relax on the beach or the prom rather than do anything too strenuous like hiking. It's a good thing to note that Aberystwyth, we are actually known as a tourist destination here in the UK. Especially in the summer, we get a lot of tourists coming down from Birmingham on the train. So it is a small town, but a very vibrant and friendly one with lots to do. So if we move on quickly to tuition fees. So I've just added the tuition fees for our undergraduate programs here. So for arts and socials, it would be £15,375 per year. And then with science, including computer science, it would be £17,525 per year. So it is also important to note that obviously the International Accommodation Award is included. So you'll be paying this and then possibly be paying no extra cost for the accommodation as well. So we do try and offer that high quality education at a competitive price when you do compare it to other UK universities. It is also important to note that living costs in Aberystwyth tend to be a bit lower than you would find in a bigger city university. And obviously there are minimal transport costs as well when you are in Aber. Basically, you can walk anywhere and you'll find that people do that. So this is the last slide here. So in terms of entry requirements, so we require a lycée diplôme. I'm so sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. or a high school diploma at a highly ranked school with a minimum final grade of 70%. So it is also important to note that where programs have a specific subject requirement at A level, a minimum grade of 70% is required in these subjects. So for some of the computer science modules that we've talked about, some of them do require a 70% in maths or physics, not all of them, but it would be a good idea to look at the individual course pages if you are curious, or of course you can reach out to SI UK. In terms of the English requirements, we do require IELTS scores of at least a 6.0 for computer science, with a minimum of 5.5 in each component. Okay, so I've just thrown a lot of information at you. I'm just going to have a look at the chat now. Sorry, I'm just working from two different screens here. Okay, great. We've had a few come in.
Yeah, we have. I'm seeing a few questions. Waiting for your reply. Shall I read them? We can go one by one.
Yeah, that's
possible. Okay. The first question seems general. I mean, about the other subject, psychology. I'm a psychologist and want to be a clinical psychologist. Do you have any proper program?
We don't have the clinical psychologist program offered. I think that would be at a master's level as well. So unfortunately, we do have a psychology department within Aberystwyth. It's just not specifically clinical psychology. I'm sure SI UK can help you find that somewhere else in the UK, hopefully.
Okay, the next one is, do you accept Duolingo or language search? Probably instead of IELTS, yeah.
We don't accept Duolingo. The second one, I'm not even familiar with. I'm not sure if you can help with that one.
There's actually, it's not that common in the UK as far as I know, but some universities accept language search as well. English has. Probably you're not familiar, that means you don't accept.
I'm not aware that we do accept that test, but I can definitely check it with our English and International Centre, and then I'll pass it on to you if that's okay.
Okay. How about, by the way, this is my personal question. If they complete their degree, bachelor degree in English, and coming from any prestigious universities in Turkey, like Koç, Sabancı, Bilgi, would you accept them without any English test?
Say that again, sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. Then, some of our students, they are completing their degree in English.
The undergraduate degree?
Yeah, for undergraduate degree. So, and they are coming from any, some of the leading prestigious universities in Turkey, like Bilgi, Koç, Sabancı. So, in this case, would you accept them without any IELTS, TOEFL, or any other English required test?
Yes, we have been known to do that, especially if they're coming from a reputable university and obviously they're being taught in English. It is definitely something that we can look into to bypass the IELTS score that's usually required. But I know it has been done before.
Okay.
It's just like on a case-by-case basis, but we can definitely look into that. Okay.
So the third question is, I'm studying computer science bachelor degree in Turkey, and my GPA is 3.56. So any scholarship options for academic merit students?
We don't have any scholarships based on merit. So the only scholarship we do offer is the International Accommodation Award, which is applied to all our international fee-paying students. So that's the only scholarship that's available at the moment. But then obviously you do get the free accommodation or the £2,000 discount. So you can look at it as a £2,000 scholarship, or just the International Accommodation Award, but that's the only one we offer at the moment.
Okay. What is the last day to apply for free accommodations? Actually, you have already answered that, but maybe you can give us a reminder explanation.
Yes. So for this, for students coming this September, the last possible date that they can apply for accommodation and be guaranteed to get accommodation will be the 1st of August. So actually, the accommodation portal opens tomorrow. So that's the first day that students can apply. So as I said earlier, it's allocated on a first come, first served basis. So we do try to get students to apply as soon as possible, but obviously life can get in the way and sometimes we won't get applications until the end of July. But as long as it's before the 1st of August, then you are guaranteed accommodation with us. Like I said earlier, we will send you lots of reminder emails to make sure that you do apply for that accommodation, because obviously it's such a great deal, especially if you could get the free accommodation.
First they have to receive their offer, then they can apply for the accommodation.
Yes, so they'll receive the offer, they'll accept the offer, and then there's certain steps, like I mentioned earlier, so paying the deposits, and if needed, the pre-CAS interview and the financial documents checks as well.
Okay. I'm thinking the next question is quite general. Like, as far as I know, I have a right to bring my family member with me as a master's student. Can I bring my sister with me?
So,
actually, no, but
yeah, I mean, master students, they can bring dependents with them on their visa, but a dependent would usually be considered someone like a spouse, so your husband or your wife and your children.
Under 18.
Say that again, sorry.
Under 18. They should be under 18.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't think a sister would fall under that category, but maybe that'd be something to check directly on the UK government website regarding visa requirements. I would suggest that you look into that there.
Yeah. How about the living cost in Aberystwyth? If I work there, how much may I earn per hour?
So, I mean, like I said earlier, it's generally, the living costs are generally lower than you would find in a bigger city university. You know what? I don't know. I'm going to Google that because that's a good question. What the minimum wage is in the UK? So it would be an overall.
But under UKVI regulations, so students should show at least 9,200 per year as a living cost. But yeah.
So it depends how old you are. So from age 18 to 20, you're looking at the minimum wage of £7.49. But then there's obviously visa regulations. So during term time, you can only work 20 hours per week.
Yes, maximum 20 hours.
Yeah, and that's another important thing when you think about which university to go to. Obviously, in a smaller town university, I mean, we do.
And which position, where they work, and
Yeah, exactly. There are some opportunities here, but that's a big reason why we do offer the International Accommodation Award, because it really is something that's going to help you with your overall budget of moving to the UK.
Okay. There's another interesting question. I want to be a vet. What should I do to enter your veterinary science program?
With
a little bit competitive.
So yeah, it's really, really competitive. To be honest with you, we only accept two international students per year. It's incredibly competitive, but I think it might be best if you directly contact SIUK via email, and then maybe I can help out with that.
Yeah,
but there's
we can give more details about the entrance requirements.
There's a lot.
Okay, the next question is about computer science, employability opportunities in computer science field in Aberystwyth.
Okay. So, I mean, there's two ways you can answer that. Is opportunities in computer science having studied at Aberystwyth, or opportunities in Aberystwyth after the course? I mean, Aberystwyth has, you know, as I said, we try to prepare people to be people who've got the practical experience to go on and get jobs. We have students who go into a range of companies, from smallish companies doing some specific technology through to big multinationals, and working in their IT departments or working on various items. We have people that go into the banking sector in London. We have people that go into, you know, a range of positions our students are recruited into, having done the course. And it kind of depends on what the student is, or what the person, you know, is interested in pursuing as a career. Are they you know, do they want to go into sort of a you know, a bigger company and work through different levels there, or do they want to work in something where it's a smaller group or a startup company that's applying the technology as a smaller group of people? But our students go on to a range of different things in a whole range of different areas as well. You know, some of it is classic, you know, writing bits of software for a company to do, you know, web applications or desktop applications, but also sometimes they go and work with specialist equipment. We've had people, well, I'm thinking of an IY position here, but I think they went back to work at the company after their industrial year, was working on technology to do sensing on pipes and, you know, quite advanced things in the oil industry as well. So, you know, there's a real opportunity, I think, to get employability following Aberystwyth. In terms of jobs in Aberystwyth afterwards, I think there's more students who'd like to stay than there are jobs available, because we're a relatively small area. But there are great job opportunities across the UK in technology as well. If that was something that somebody wanted to do, there may be opportunities there with appropriate visas and so things in place. You know, we've got several good technology hubs around the UK, or places where there's lots of technology ongoing, and companies that are looking for people to do the work.
Yeah. Also, they can receive some help from your career department to find a job or placement. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So our careers department then is there to support all students, and they're there to support you from the moment you arrive, and actually including after you've left and completed your course. They're there to offer support and guidance, discuss with you about how you prepare to go for a job application. For students where we have industrial years students, we also spend some time with them in their second year to help them prepare to make applications to go for job interviews and so forth as well. So we do see it as an important part of the different things that we do throughout our course. But you're right as well, the careers department's there as able to provide that extra professional support. Yeah.
Okay. So how many lessons do we take per week?
It depends.
Yeah,
it's a good question.
Exactly.
But generally speaking, so you might do what we call 60 credits of study each term. So 60 credits before Christmas and 60 credits after Christmas. And for every 10 credits, you might expect around about 2 hours worth of teaching time for every 10 credits. But on top of that, you might then have practicals as well. So, you know, you've got 60 credits, so 2 hours there. So we've got 12 hours there of core study, but then tutorials and practicals on top. So in the first year, in semester one, you might have something like 19 hours of study per week. And that's probably similar for the rest of the first year. Now, as you go into the second and third year, things change a little. It does depend on the modules you take. But by the time you reach your third year, you probably have maybe closer to about 12 hours a week, 10 to 12 hours a week. But then the other time shouldn't be seen as free time, because that's time that you're using to go beyond what we're talking about in the classes, to refresh your experience of what's in the classes, and, you know, deepen your knowledge in the area. So there's the contact time, and then there's the other time that you would make for the study that goes alongside what we have in the classes. So it maybe about 19 in the first year and starts to get less as you're expected to do extra independent study.
Okay. The next question is, if I can't success to take enough score in language test, can I come to your language program? I think they mean a professional program.
Yeah, we do offer pre-sessional programs to students who may need some extra help with their English. That's always an option. They're for particular subjects, but I think we do have a computer science pre-sessional program, if I'm not correct. I'll double check that.
I'm not sure. I would need to check that one, but I think we've had things like that.
Yeah, it does ring a bell. So it is always an opportunity that you can definitely reach out to us, and we'll see if we can get you on that pre-sessional, and then you'll automatically go on to the undergraduate as long as you complete the pre-sessional. And then even once you're in university and you're doing your full 3-year undergraduate, there is also the opportunity to have some extra help with, the differences between international education and the UK education. And those facilities are in place even for our UK students. It's a big jump going from high school to university. So we are there to support you, through English differences and even the general educational differences as well. So yeah, it's definitely an option for you.
Okay. I think it seems the last question. Besides your residence, I think accommodation they mean, do you also help us to find a place to stay in the city?
So we don't do anything really with our town accommodation. So there is the opportunity to look for private accommodation in our town if you do want to. I'm also saying town just to reiterate that Aberystwyth is not a city, so we are a smaller town compared to some of the cities in the UK, just to make sure everyone's aware of that. So there maybe isn't as much choice for private accommodation or private residence as you would find in some of the cities in the UK. We do have some students who do opt to go for the private residences, but we wouldn't do anything directly with that. We can point you in the right direction of estate agents who can help you, but we tend to just focus on our university-owned accommodation.
Okay. I think that's it. Thank you so much for your great presentation and explanation. Thank you again.
Thank
for
you.
your time, of course. Please let me finish the event in Turkish. Thank you so much again. Herkese çok teşekkür ediyoruz katıldığınız için. Umarım yararlı olmuştur etkinliğiniz. Sorularınız için bizimle her zaman iletişime geçebilirsiniz. Çok teşekkür ederim. Herkese iyi akşamlar.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.